Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So I have something super fun for you today, and I have kind of a story to tell to get there. So back in the early 1900s, there were all these sort of the predecessors to the auto harp. There were like a bunch of zithers that were strings arranged in all different ways. A lot of them were called the ukulins, or there were some that were called like a riff on the violin name. I don't know. There's a bunch of them, and you can find them at antique stores fairly often, and they're really cool looking. And they were sold through door-to-door salesmen, often in the eastern United States. And what happened was they sort of fell out of style. A lot of them were kind of hard to play. They were designed by salespeople and not as much by people who are into instruments. So as the 20th century progressed, you have a lot of these folk songs and these folk traditions with these instruments that are disappearing. As we became a more globalized society, all those little regional traditions sort of were falling by the wayside. And there was this woman, her name was Margaret Macarthur, and she was super interested in all these little folk songs, and she spent basically the last part of her life just traveling all around the country and collecting all these folk songs, and she would sing them and record the original singer singing them, and she accompanied herself a lot on a mountain dulcimer. But then, towards the end, she invented this cool thing called the Macarthur Harp, which was basically one of these really old zithers from the 1900s that she and her husband modified to make it into this really cool instrument. And it just so happened that one of these popped up on Reverb, actually, the reason that I learned all that history is because I had to look up Macarthur Harp, not knowing what this thing was. And I just found it absolutely fascinating. So I wanted to share that story with you of the amazing Margaret Macarthur. You can still find a lot of her music on YouTube, which I think is really cool. I like preserving all those folk songs, and especially the regional songs. It's just so cool, I think, to have those neat things for posterity. So anyway, I'm gonna open up this Macarthur Harp and you guys can see what it's like, because it is such a cool instrument. Okay, so here we go. I'm really excited to see this. I don't even know who made this. The Reverb seller just basically said it is a modern, like someone made it recently, but he didn't know who had made it, so super fascinated to see. Okay. It's actually a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be, so that's really interesting. So let's just... Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's get this out of its little baggie. Seriously, just so excited to see this. It has its own little case, which is super cute. I did not expect that. Okay, here we go. Oh, here it is. Okay, oh, and this is the book that she wrote, How to Play the Macarthur Harp. And I checked on Amazon, and there is like no available copies of this, so I'm kind of excited to have this. And here it is. Oh, it's just really so lovely. You can see this is gorgeous flame maple top. Oh, it's so pretty. So here's some interesting features of the Macarthur Harp. You have over here, not tuned at all, but these are basically chords, and I'm not honestly sure which is which. I'll have to look in the book and we'll see. And then over here, you have some melody strings, and I believe there's supposed to be 12. Yeah, there's 12 melody strings over here. And then these are chords. So pretty limiting if you play a lot of different kinds of music. But for folk music that just has a simple root, fourth, fifth kind of a structure, yeah, this is super great. You just strum your chord. Well, that's not very nice. This one is tuned. Strum your chord and then... Okay, so I'm going to tune it up, and then I'm going to play a little bit for you because this is just the neatest instrument. I just have to say how much I absolutely adore this instrument. It's pretty much ideal for just a soft accompaniment to yourself when you're singing. It's actually like super quiet, so I think the way you're supposed to hold it is kind of like this. The arm kind of comes into your chest, and you hold here with your fingers and sort of pluck with the thumb. There's our C chord, and then this one is a G7, and this last one up here is an F. So you got your 1 and your 5/7 and your 4 up here. So pretty. And there are actually 11 notes right here. You've got a low G, which isn't that low, but it's the lowest string. And then up to C, and then you've got a whole octave right here, C to C. So it's a lot of fun, but it's also pretty quiet. So I was just kind of messing around with it, just sort of made a... But yeah, there's all sorts of fun things you can do. Like if you wanted to tune these chord strings differently, you totally could. If you wanted to pluck them individually, to just sort of give sort of a more individual harmony rather than just the whole chord, you could totally do that. And of course, you can always pluck these strings a little bit differently. I might get some little finger picks because I think that would work really well. It would probably make the chord accompaniment a lot louder if I had a thumb pick. So I'm probably going to look for something like that. But yeah, it's just such a sweet sounding instrument. I really love it so much. I think any instrument that you can just sit down and play a chord at without really knowing a lot about instruments, it just makes it so much more accessible, which I really love that. Anybody should be able to sit down at an instrument and just make something beautiful. I think there's a certain, I don't know, a certain romance in that idea. But yes, this is the Macarthur Harp. It is so cool. If you have a chance to get your hands on one, I know that Music Makers does make a version. Theirs is pretty expensive. I think it's around $1,000. But you can definitely, I think there's quite a few, obviously, of those old Zither-like instruments that are still coming up a lot on eBay or like antique sites. So you could fix up something like that. Or honestly, if you're at all handy with woodworking, it doesn't look that hard to make your own. Basically got a box for your melody strings and a little arm for your chords. So if you have a chance, I really suggest this because it is a super great instrument, especially if you are into folk music. So that's all I have today on the Macarthur Harp. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Hello everybody, and thank you so much for watching my channel. If you want to click the subscribe button right up there, then you can subscribe to my channel and see all my new videos. And if you would like to check out my Patreon, the link is down there in the description. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day.